Okay, so I'm going to go over a little bit of supplies. I have Arch paper, 100% cotton here that I drew out my little pumpkin. These are those mini pumpkins that you get at the grocery store or whatever. And I kind of drew out mine. I kind of perspective I have is kind of looking this way. This way. And yes, so this is a little trick to get some shadows in easily. And if you're just starting at watercolor and you don't know how to do all the shadows in your pumpkin, because you would think, you know, it's going to be orange and darker orange and all that good stuff, but not necessarily. When you're using paint and colors of paint, color theory comes into play, and it's a really great exercise to understanding about watercolor, that watercolor is a translucent medium. And the great thing about watercolor is that because it's a translucent medium, you can see layers upon layers underneath the wash of watercolor, and therefore it's called glazing, and therefore you can have some underlayers that come up and really help with, you know, transforming the object that you're painting. So orange color, the opposite of orange, the complementary color is blue. So this is a super trick that I love to do. I show this in some of my workshops and retreats, how when you use the complementary color, you can create some great shadows. Not necessarily always the case, you know. Sometimes you don't want green on your red, but in this case, it's kind of fun to play with the blue and the orange. Now you could do it two ways. You can paint the orange and then the blue afterwards, or the blue and the orange over it. I kind of like to play with the complementary color first. I'm using a Princeton 16 aqua elite brush, and I'm just going to grab some ultramarine blue deep color, and I'm putting the water in it. Right, this is 2 paints that I use. And the consistency, you think about it, see how much water I put in here? It's a little bit like tea to coffee, like the beverage. The more paint I add, the thicker it will get to like milk. And it's really thick, cream, and super thick, right out of the tube is called butter. All right, so then I've got this color here, and I've turned it into like basically coffee. So you can just kind of put it on the edges here. And then I'm going to bleed it out, blend it. So I'm going to tip my brush into some water, tap on the paper towel, and kind of blend out like this. Grab that blue. Same thing here, only on the bottom. So I put the paint down, I kind of cleaned off the paint off my brush, kind of blend it out. Same thing here. Clean off my brush. Now you can do it the other way, where you have paint the orange color and then go ahead and do the blue. This is a fun trick to play with if you've never done it before. I'm gonna add blue here. Now you can start off pretty light in the beginning and then get a little bit more, you know, intense. I'm adding some blues here and on the edge of the pumpkin, just like these crevices that you see. A little bit up here. Just to start. I'm just going to do that just to start. See? And I can get a little bit deeper too. I can go back another pass. I can get pretty thick on it too. In some areas. Maybe in here, you know, like a little thicker, a little deeper. You see it kind of like doing this wonderful little outline. I'm not going to do every little crevice that you see. And some get a little bit darker than others, right? And maybe I'm going to make this a little bit darker on the bottom. Now this is wet on dry. Adding in some deep blue here, a little bit deeper. Okay. You can even play with doing it on the stem. Even though the stem's like brown and greens, but you can add some of this in here. A little fun. And again, I'll go back and add a little bit more blue. Isn't this fun? So you let this blue part dry, and we'll start to paint some more orange. Might get even a little bit deeper where I'm grabbing it right out of the tube, basically. Get a little bit darker down here and bleeding a little bit over here. Super fun to play with this. If you've never done this exercise, you should try it. I think I have ones with oranges as themselves as opposed to pumpkins, and lemons. See, I'll add a bit more blue here. Okay, now we're going to let this dry and we're going to start to paint the glazing, which is another layer of color on top of it with orange. Also, like I didn't mention, Patreon members get the trace and the additional tutorial. We're going to be doing a different pumpkin. We're going to be doing this pumpkin over here on the left-hand side. So pay to be a Patreon member if you want to get the additional tutorials and ad-free videos and traceables and all that good stuff. I'm dumping my paintbrushes into everything today. So now you can mix orange color with cadmium yellow deep and cadmium red light right here. Various colors of orange, adding more red. Or you can grab an orange color, which I have here, this brilliant orange from Holbein. It's pretty intense, right? This is a little more natural looking with the cadmium red light and the yellow. And this one's kind of a little bit more bright, intense. So you can play around both of them. So the consistency of the paint, again, I'll have it more like coffee, a little bit of tea, and we'll start to paint right on top of our blue. Just like that. Right? You can leave a little white if you want for like highlight. The shadow is already done and created there. We got that orange right on top. Make sure that blue is dry though. And look at that. It's just like magic. It's just a fun way to create shadows without having to do so much effort. I kind of love how it comes out. Now this is the first wash of the orange. Let's see, I'm using the brilliant orange. It's so much more intense than this one that I mixed. And the one I mixed is probably a little bit more natural looking. I'll leave a little white halo here and I'll fill this in. It always pays to use a big brush. It's a lot faster, looser, easier. Now, when you put another layer of this orange on top of it, it will get darker still, see? Put that orange in here. And you can add more blue now that you put this in. You're like, oh, it needs more blue, it needs more shadow. It's fun to try and play with it before and after, but I love how it came out, like the shadows. Right? Now it does look a little bluish instead of brown or shadow, but that's just a fun way of playing with it. You can get a little thicker with your paint. Get a little thicker mine here. See, and then you go over that blue so it's not intense blue. More of a shadow color. Then you're seeing blue, blue, blue. Which I kind of love. I think it's kind of cool. It's, again, personal opinion. You don't have to go with it. It's just fun to play with these kind of techniques. And that's what watercolor is all great about, is that the translucent color, putting color upon color upon color. When we let this dry, another layer of the orange will be even darker. And for the stem, just a simple stem color, you can use ultramarine blue deep, which we have here, and burnt sienna, and make nice browns. Get a little thicker. My paint, it's very, very watery. I want a little bit thicker. So I'm adding more pigment to make it thicker. And a little more blue to make it look like a more browner gray. So put that color in here. We can even add some greens in there. You see they have like a light tan color on the bottom. Maybe add a little bit of yellow. Look at this tan tone. The stem on the bottom here. See? A little bit of that light tan. And then go up into the stem. And you don't have to make it perfect. That light color in there. Got these very cool granulating colors because ultramarine blue deep and burnt sienna together, like beautiful granulating color. Now I could just grab some of that blue real thick with the burnt sienna right out of the tube almost and start to bleed in some of that darker tone right up in here. A couple of dabs on the bottom here. This is a cute little stem. Right? Super fun. And now if I'm going to go like this, the shadow would be over here. If you're going to make a shadow for the pumpkin, same two colors I would use. I love these colors for shadow. You could even add a little magenta for like a more purple tone if you like purple shadows. I use Ultimate Blue Deep and Burnt Sienna. Wonderful shadows. If I add a little, magenta. It's like I said, his purple. Go back and add the blue. So it's more in the purple vein if you want a purple shadow. Some people like more purple shadows. I kind of like more blue-gray shadows. I'm adding a little more blue. It's perfectly fine either way. I'm mixing this color forever. It's still very wet here, but I would put like a little shadow kind of coming here. Like that. And pumpkin. Can get even more rounder if you want. It's hard to see because I don't really have it on the table that way, but something like that. Or if you want it a little bit out linear, kind of out this way. Kind of lost edges shadow. That's a sharp edge. You can like dilute it and make it like a soft edge. See, I'm kind of lifting the paint up and diluting the edge. So you choose which way you want to do it. We're just playing. This is an exercise. It's not serious stuff. Right? Little soft edge, a little darker edge shadow. I kind of start from the center outward, and that'll be the shadow. And if you want to really have a lost shadow, you can kind of just lift this area too. Isn't that great? Simple way to do a pumpkin. And see, this area is dry. I can go back over to that orange area again. Add my orange color. Maybe a little bit of cadmium red light. You can even add a little brown in there, like a little burnt umber. Change that orange again. So the paint's a little thicker. Kind of going in here. And you're adding in another layer. Again, glazing. It's one of the best things about watercolor. The varieties of tone you can get of all the different colors on top of each other. So glazing is one of the most magical things about watercolor. And it changes the value completely when you glaze upon your pumpkin. Could even just like a bright orange tone down here. I just changed that again. Super fun. Right? And then of course, this wonderful little stem here. I'm gonna make some little lines in there and call it a day. A couple little lines, maybe get a little bit darker. See, I'm adding another layer of the glazing and it gets even darker. And there you have it, right? The quickest way to make something like a semi-realistic pumpkin. Now, I don't know if I would have the highlight here on this side because it's more in shadow over here, just more in the front. I remove that, more on this side. I got a little brownish. And go back and add a little bit of the bright, beautiful, brilliant watercolor orange. If I lost some of my cuteness. That's it. It's that quick and simple. You can let it dry again and add another layer of blue to get even more realistic. See, the orange, mine's becoming a little yellow orange. If I want to add more brilliant orange, I'd wait for it to dry and add another layer. So I can go in and add that last layer of brilliant orange to get it really bright. And I can go back in one more time if I want to with the blue and get it a little bit darker still. See, I'm going back in here, getting that orange really kind of more brighter, intense. You do want it to look natural though. But it was looking a little too yellowy, so we added some more brilliant orange. And you have like the perfect looking pumpkin. See, I'm just grabbing that brilliant orange color, watering it down a little bit, go back and adding it in here. Great way to make a pumpkin. Great little technique. So like I said, you get this tutorial on how to do this using the opposite color for the shadow, and then if you're a Patreon member, you get the additional tutorial. Again, we have mostly yellows using the purple for the yellowish orange pumpkin, which is this one. And you can click the link below to join my Patreon, where you get first dibs on watercolor workshops and retreats. I'll be putting one out soon, actually, and all kinds of great goodies, and it helps support me, which I really appreciate. So I hope you enjoy this. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.